suppose there's only one player we can start on here, and that is Moises Caicedo. And we have sat here for the last year and a half, even when Chelsea have lost games, even when Chelsea haven't been playing well, saying the levels to this guy's game. It was his 24th birthday, I think, at the time of recording. I think it was yesterday. Yep. He is outstanding. And like Enzo Maresca said in his post-match interview, it's him and Rodri up there for the best in the world right now in his position. He's the most important player for Chelsea. Yes, Cole Palmer is probably, he is, there's no doubt, most creative, offensive player. He's the difference maker in play. But Moises Caicedo is the heartbeat of that football club right now. He is the one that sets the tone. He is the one, and you're right, it annoys me a little bit that over the last 18 months, 2 years, that he hasn't really got the credit I felt that he deserves. I know Gravenberch had a great season with Liverpool. How Moises Caicedo was not in Premier League team, I don't know. But they're all a little bit late to the party, and it annoys me a bit. Because when he puts a performance like that, we've been seeing that level of... OK, that's probably the best he's played. Yeah. But that kind of level of performance, we have seen pretty much every single week. I mentioned last week against Sunderland, I thought it was his worst game. And if we're going to praise, I think it's only right that we say that he wasn't on top form. Wow, at the weekend. He was just an absolute animal in the middle of the park, winning balls he shouldn't win, pressing where he shouldn't really have no right to go and win the balls. And they're Kante-esque, kind of winning the ball back in all over the areas. He's the best ball-winning midfielder in the world right now. No one can touch him. It's as simple as that. Yeah. You see him in the 90th minute chasing down the touchline. You just think, where's his energy coming from? Because you're literally hoovering up in midfield. He's a vacuum. He was insane for the goal. We saw him win the ball, and then obviously it was dispossessed by Neto, and he goes and actually presses in front of Neto. He gets past the attacker and goes in, gets it again, and then he's got the composure and the awareness to just slide it across for João Pedro, who needed that tap-in after some of the earlier finishing. He was ridiculous. And the thing is with Caicedo is, we keep saying it, it's not even just the tackling and intercepting, like you're saying, it's the passing as well. He's such an underrated passer. There was a moment where he received the ball in the midfield in that game, and he's not even touched the ball. He's done a body feint, and he's just absolutely turned the midfielders on their head in that game and just left them and kept running on. And that's Tottenham playing a lot of midfielders in that starting 11 as well to try and win that battle, and they completely lost it. You mentioned Kante, and obviously we know the levels that Kante got to. One of Kante's best performances came in a Champions League final against Manchester City. And I have no doubt that Moises Caicedo can get there. But where Moises Caicedo is right now, how good he is right now, having just turned 24, how close to Kante's levels do you think that Moises Caicedo can get? Well, he's got all of the skill set that you need. He's got all the minerals to go on and do that. Kante was the best I've ever seen in that role, winning the ball. But Kante was a box-to-box midfielder. Kante he wasn't a six, was he?
No, he wasn't.
No.
But he could travel. I think Moises Caicedo actually is better than Kante in possession. I think there was one part of Kante's game that at times was his passing. I don't want... for understandable reasons, we're going to compare him because of the same position. They win balls they shouldn't win. Yeah. He's 24. What this boy can go on and do, he is probably 3 or 4 years off his peak, right? So there is still improving to come. There is still a young man that's going to grow. Yeah. And, I mean, physically, he's a beast. What's he going to be like in 5, 6 years? I mean, the mind boggles. To answer your question, can he get there? Yes, I genuinely believe he's capable of doing that kind of performance that Kante did in that Champions League final. And more consistently if he's... Because where was Kante at 24? Yeah. You know, they're talking levels. Yeah, so I don't want to diss Kante because... No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that on this show. Definitely not doing that.
Longevity at the top level, I agree, because, I mean, he's been at Brighton in the Premier League. He was fantastic for them next to McAllister. I think the positional versatility of what Caicedo can do is it's insane. Remember, he's played right back for us and inverted. He's then taken up a tactical role of playing as a 6 and receiving the ball under the press and being that guy, which, like you said, I would have always preferred Kante box to box. I remember we played him as a 6 against Arsenal at the Emirates and I didn't like it under Conte, I think it was. And then I think also Caicedo can be an 8. I think the only reason he's not an 8 for us is because we've already got loads of 8s, and I think there isn't really another 6 in the team you can look at. But he can definitely be a box to box. We've seen the shooting, we've seen the passing, we've seen the counter pressing. What is he missing or lacking?
He's adding goals now as well.
Is there anything he can't do?
He's adding goals. If that can continue, you've almost got the complete midfielder. But right now, that winning the ball, no one can touch him.
I mean, Premier League defenders know better than to give Moises Caicedo space on the edge of the box now after what he's done this season. I think he scored 3 goals, hasn't he? And they've all been worldies. Yeah. How much, Matisse, can the other players learn from what he did in that moment when Pedro Neto played that ball and when, because João Pedro didn't make the run.
On his heels a little bit, wasn't he?
On his heels a little bit.
Yeah.
Moises Caicedo was the one there, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it led to a goal.
Yeah.
Other players can take note and go, if he can do that, we can do that.
Yeah, that's leading by example. And that's why he'd be part of the leadership group at this point. Maybe not the most vocal in that dressing room, but just in terms of performance. When you see someone do that, that shows you up. And it's broadcasted, it's live. So you have to now respond. And that, you know, if you've got someone like that that's got that level of energy, and you've got 2 or 3 players like that, Cucurella is another one, everybody else is forced to press. You can't not be in sync with your teammates pressing wise. It doesn't look good from a team, you know, counter-pressing perspective when you're leaving gaps in for the opposition to play through. And it doesn't look good when people are watching, because we can clearly see who has more commitment and who doesn't. So I think the fact that he does that is brilliant, and everybody else would just take note and just do it as well.
Obviously, that's Moises Caicedo, probably his best performance of the season, absolutely brilliant. But also Reece James partnered him in midfield. Now, again, we've sat here for the last however long. Reece James has now been fit for a significant period of time.
Yeah.
But what I want to know, Jace, is your thoughts on Reece James as a captain and as a leader, and how he has evolved from probably what was a fairly shy character on the pitch, off the pitch, to now what I believe is someone who leads by example in every single sense of the word. He has turned into an absolutely unbelievable captain.
Yeah, I think I've interviewed Reece a few times. He is a very quiet young man. Very, you know, he doesn't like the media. He's not particularly comfortable in front of the camera and a microphone and in his face. But I think also there must have been, for him mentally, to deal with the injuries that he was experiencing. And they were keeping him out a long time, Liv. And I feel that now we're starting to see... I don't worry about Reece's injuries anymore.
No.
And I think the way he plays, that's a thing of the past. It must have been difficult for him to be injured for so long and stamp his authority in that dressing room, be that leader. Now, because he's fit every single week and putting in the mid, and he's so versatile, I think he is now really... That armband fits and he gets it. When he should have had Bentancur should have had a red card, his reaction, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, I'm not sure he got that from Reece, but now he's like, how's that not red?
Yeah.
You know, speaking to the referee. Yeah, he's having a stellar season.
It's almost, I feel like this is maybe not the year, but maybe these last couple of years, we've seen Reece evolve from like a boy to a man. And you know, even just like geeing up the crowd and the celebrations at the end, like leading the team over. I just think he's everything you now want in a captain.
Yeah, I saw there was a clip at half-time and he wanted everyone to kind of walk off the pitch together as well. I'm sure he took that you know, that was his instruction. He's always been a quality player. There's always been no question on his quality. And I think, again, this is the kind of level of player I think he is that he could have been and could still be, if he can keep this run of fitness just going to the end of his career, the best right back we've seen in this country. Because from a skill set standpoint, there's no one that can really, you know, argue with the balance that he brings to the side. He's able to play right back. We've seen him at centre back against Liverpool when he came onto that position after the injuries, and then centre midfield he was outstanding again. So again, the tactical awareness to play these different roles at that level is just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think there's a reason a lot of left wingers and a lot of midfielders say the toughest player they've ever come up against is Reece James. How much does how much credit does Enzo Maresca deserve for the way he's handled this Reece James situation? Because I know, especially me, I've been sat here going, I want to see Reece play every single game. And Jace, you've always said Maresca's handled his minutes, he's managed his minutes, and he's done it so well, because look at him now. Yeah,
I mean, he was out for a long period, Reece, and we're all wondering, will we see the old Reece ever again? And that must have been going through his mind. I think Maresca needs and the medical team need a huge amount of credit, because it's so easy at times, especially when you're, you know, as a manager, you want your best team, your best players, because that gives you the best chance of getting the best result and keeping your job. But they've handled it really, really well. There have been moments even at the beginning of this season where he was on the bench, where I thought he would start, but they have got it right. We're now seeing Reece play 90 minutes, and that, you know, there was a time when he said, you know, 1 to 2 games a week might be too much. I don't think that concern is now on Maresca's mind at all.
No, I don't think so. We obviously, Reece James played in midfield in that game against Spurs. We have obviously seen Gusto play in midfield. Do you think, Matisse, we're still going to see Maresca playing one of them in midfield one day and the other another day? Is that going to be a switch that keeps on happening? Yeah, it seems like when he wants maybe a pivot of just defensive solidarity, he's going to go with James, because I think James defensively is better than Gusto. But when he's asking for that, maybe that counter press and that box to box, that kind of third man that just
plugs holes, he goes with gusto. So it's nice that they can kind of interchange. And if Gusto does go flying forward on the overlap like we saw in this game, and I thought Gusto was brilliant in this game. I think that's probably maybe his best game of the season.
Yeah.
And for a while, James could slot in at right back, and it's just, you know, it's seamless. Exactly. So yeah, it's nice to have players that can interchange like that. And then Achampong, obviously, we already know is able to do those positions as well. We've seen him play central midfield. So yeah, there's a lot of IQ, footballing IQ, I call this, that we're seeing from these guys. Just the ability to do it is insane.
Imagine being Polina and Bentancur, and you look up, you've got Moises Caicedo and you've got Reece James in front of you.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, you're talking physically, you're talking units, technically, you're talking brilliant footballers winning the ball. It's almost got the lot in there in terms of a defensive partnership.
Yeah.
Levy we haven't mentioned as well. Just want to go back to him. Maresca's manages his minutes really well at the moment as well, because we all want to see more of Lavia, but on the pitch, not in the treatment room. So yeah, well done him as well.